Okay, Algebra 2, Quarantine Day 2. This video took a little longer to come out than I had wanted, but, this is different for all of us. This is the second part of the worksheet from yesterday, the note sheet from yesterday. And then tonight, I'll also post the homework for after this lesson. These are the same properties we talked about yesterday. They're in roughly the same order, but there's a little more examples on this one. Okay. So we're just going to go through this. The properties of logarithms, we use them to condense and expand logarithms. The first one's the product property. Okay. And now in each of these left-hand boxes, it's the property, what the property does, and it also tells you to think about the exponent property version of it. In the exponent property, if you have the same base and you're multiplying, you just add the exponents together. Same thing on logs. If you have two logs being multiplied together, you could separate them, expand them out as saying the same log with the same base, but you add each separate argument together. Okay. So in this example, if we have log of 5x, we could rewrite that as log of 5 plus log of x. Okay. Now notice that these don't have bases, so these are all common logs, log base 10. Now that helps us because log of 5 is a number, okay, and log of x has that variable portion, so sometimes we need to isolate that variable portion. Okay. Going the opposite way, you have log 4 plus log y. You could write that as, kind of condense it into one log of 4 times y. All right, so there's two things we're always going to be. We're either going to be expanding logs or we're going to be condensing logs. So that middle one was just the example. Now we have two expansion ones. Log of xyz. Log of xyz can be expanded to log of x plus log of y plus log of z. And same thing for the next one, log of 24ab. Each piece of this is going to get its own log. So the number gets its own log, the a gets its own log, the b gets its own log. So this will be log of 24 plus log of a plus log of b. Oops, it's yesterday. And same thing with the expansion, or the condensing. Condense to one logarithm. So we have log 2 plus log x plus log y. We want to write it with one log. Since they're all addition, we're just going to multiply all those together. The 2, the x, and the y. Log 2xy. And same thing on this bottom one. Log 5 plus log 10 plus log x. We're just going to be multiplying 5 times 10 plus x to give us a log of 50x. So that's the product property going, forwards, expanding, and condensing. The division property, again, we talked about it yesterday. The division property, you always want to think, multiplication and addition, and then division and subtraction. So he's going to be subtracting the logs. Okay. So this first one, log of x over 3, we can rewrite as log of x minus log of 3. And going the other way, we have log 7 minus log x. We could write that using one log of the first divided by the second. Okay. All right, in the expansion example, same thing. X over y. So we're going to do, each one is going to get its own separate log. So we're going to do log x minus log y. Okay. So always top over bottom, top minus bottom. And this last one, this next, not the last one, the next one is a little different. So right up front we have 2x over yz. Okay. So we could write them log 2x minus log yz. Okay. But that 2x and the yz, those are being multiplied together. We could even go a little further and expand it even more using the previous property. Okay. So we could have log, it's 2 times x, so we could have log 2 plus log x. Okay. Minus log y plus log z. Okay, so this is combining both of them together, both properties. Okay. All right. That's the log yz expanded even further. And this one's the log 2x expanded even further. So eventually we're going to be doing long ones like that. All right, and the last one, condensing, I'm going from multiple logs to one log. Log 2 minus log y. Okay. It's always first over second, so 2 over y, log 2 over y. This next one, log 3 minus log 5 minus log z plus log 4. Okay. Anything with the minus is going to go on the bottom. Anything with the plus is going to go on top. Okay, so we have log 3. That's a positive log 3. It's going on top. We have minus log 5. The 5 is going to go on the bottom because it's minus. Minus log z, the c is also going on the bottom. And plus log 4, plus is going on top. So it's kind of similar to when we had negative exponents. Okay, so this can simplify to log 3 times 4 on top, which is 12, over 5z. Okay. All right, one more property is the power property. Power property states that if you have a log raised to a power, so the argument's raised to a power, that power can go out front. For example, if you have log base b of x to the third power, that third power can go out front. So we could rewrite it as 3 log base b of x. Likewise, going the other way, if you have a number out front, you could write it as the power of that argument. So we rewrite this as log base b of x to the 1/2 power. All right, now a quick side note, remember that raising something to the 1/2 power is the same as taking the square root. So we could rewrite that as log base b of the square root of x. Both of those are the same. It just depends on the problem, like which method would be, which format would be best. Okay. So again, these practice problems, expanding them, taking the exponent, putting it out front. So instead of log of x squared, this is 2 log of x. And then same thing as the last problem. This is the square root of x, which is the same thing as x to the 1/2 power. So that 1/2 power is going to go out front. And it's really 1/2 log x. And lastly, going the opposite direction, taking the numbers out front, putting them as the exponent in the argument. So 3 log y will become log y to the third. And x log 5 is going to become log of 5 to the x. All right, so those are the 3 main properties. Now we didn't do the quality property that we talked about yesterday. That's going to come back into play later this week or probably after spring break. And the last page had a couple extra problems. This is what your homework's going to be like. We're going to either going to be condensing into one log or you're going to be expanding into multiple logs. Condensing into the one log. Okay, so we got log x plus log y plus log z. Okay. You're just going to have one log in the condensing. Again, anything with plus is going on top, anything minus going on the bottom. So you got the positive x, you got the y, minus z. So x times y divided by z. And the second condensing one, you have to think, order of operations. The grouping symbol, the groups have to stay together. This one actually has multiple ones. Any number out front is going to become an exponent. Okay. So you got that 2 out front. You also have a 3 and this 4. And remember, the goal is to write it as one log. Okay. So really we have, this is really log of x squared minus the grouping of log y to the third plus log c to the fourth. Okay. So since those are grouped together after the minus sign, those are both going to go in the denominator. So on top we're going to have the x squared, and on the bottom you have log y to the third plus log z to the fourth. If you're combining those into one log, you would, because of the addition sign, we'd have to use multiplication. So that's just going to be y on, both of them on the bottom because they are grouped together. Y to the third, c to the fourth. And then the expansions. Okay, we got each different variable is going to have its own log. And if there's a number in here, each number and each different variable would have its own log. So what that means is that the x gets a log. It's going to be log x. It's on top, it's going to be plus. The y gets a log. The y is also on top, so it's going to get a plus as well. Okay. But be careful first. You have y squared. Anything with an exponent is going to go in front. So really, instead of log y squared, we're going to have 2 log y. And then the last one is dividing by z. So since it's dividing, it's on the bottom, we're going to have a minus log z. Okay. And this last one, log 3 of the square root of x and y. Now both the x and the y are underneath the radical. Whoops. So really this is 3 times the square root of xy. Or rather, with the exponent, it's 3 times the quantity xy to the 1/2 power. Because remember, we need that exponent part because we need to put that exponent part out front. Okay. Well, the log 3 part is easy. It's going to stay log 3. And since it is a multiplication, we're going to use plus. Okay. Now, since both the x and the y have a 1/2, we could put that 1/2 in front of both of them and use parentheses to group them together. So we say log x plus log y. With the 1/2 in front, which is going to apply to both terms, both logs, which is what happens down here with the parentheses and what happens inside of the square root. Okay. So it's a little tricky on some of these. But that's expanding and condensing logs using the log properties. Check Classroom for the homework, and put the key up tomorrow. All right.